when you talk about that, this is how good they are. Aaliyah June, who's a first-team all-conference player, scores 3 points on 1 for 9, and they still beat us by 17. That's how much talent they have. We couldn't. Calvert was excellent. Crockett was her typical self. She was phenomenal, and we couldn't stop Seward. Seward killed us. They just can hurt you in so many ways and so many angles, and we just had no answer. And then the first half was just, we just got through talking about this in the locker room. The first half, unfortunately, was a lot like, this game was a lot like our year, from the standpoint that, we just weren't always focused in the way that we needed to be as a unit. And in the first half, I think Moorhead, if I'm not mistaken, finished second in the league in offensive rebounding. First half, they had 12 offensive rebounds for our 10 defensive rebounds. They annihilated us on the offensive glass. That's a desire statistic. They cared more than we cared in the first half. Second half, they had 5 offensive rebounds. We had 14 defensive rebounds. If we'd have cared as much in the first half as we cared in the second half, maybe the first half wouldn't look like it did. Last Saturday, we played SIUE, who is the #1 offensive rebounding team in the league. We gave up 10 offensive rebounds. We had 26 defensive rebounds. So again, in that game, and that was a survival game, from our perspective, we brought the right focus, right energy, right intensity from the get-go, from the beginning. And unfortunately, I thought the first 5 minutes we were okay, but once we settled in a comfortable manner, and they settled in a hungry manner, and we struggled. We struggled. And then, unfortunately, like has happened for us all year long, when we got open perimeter shots, we just missed them by the bushels. And that's been one of this team's biggest weaknesses this year, is an inability to make perimeter shots in a reasonably consistent manner. Had we been able to make some perimeter shots in a reasonably consistent manner, the whole outlook of the game changes. Everything changes. But we just couldn't make enough from the outside. And then Raven, who's been really, really good for us, in the zone, when she got the ball, they just swarmed her. They just absolutely swarmed her. And so we needed somebody on the perimeter to give her some relief. And we just couldn't find anybody to do that in a consistent manner. So when you're playing against a really good team, and those guys are really good, I've said this for a long time, they have the most raw talent in this league, top to bottom. They have the most raw talent in the league. And so like I said, they cared more in the first half. I won't say that about the second half, but I will say about the first. They cared more in the first half. And we couldn't make, and once we cared enough, once we got our care in the right place, we just couldn't make enough perimeter shots to make up the gap. We just couldn't close the gap. So.
Coach, despite the result today, you finished the regular season strong just to even get here. Just what can you take positives heading into next year from the close of the season just to make it?
Well, this is something, we just talked about in the locker room. The fact that, after 9 conference games, and at the end of January, we were 3-6 in the league, and it was not looking good, And to a credit to this group, we focused up the right way, kind of like we did with our energy. Our second half energy today was good. The energy in the second half was good. So in February, we got our energy in the right place. We got focused. We started paying attention to the details. We got hungry, and we go 6-3 in the back end. So after going 3-6 on the front end, we go 6-3 in the back end, and we put ourselves in position where we end up in a tie for 6th after being in sole possession in 9th place at the midway point. So these kids deserve a lot of credit for rallying and putting themselves in a position to be where we ended up being.
Raven, despite the disappointing team performance today, you scored 17 points, pulled down 14 rebounds. It kind of seemed like you were just kind of leaving it all out on the floor in your last game. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Coming into this game, that it's all or nothing. Like, it could be a last game or you could keep going. So, all I can do is go out there, play my role, help my team out as much as I can, and, just try to do the best.
Raven, you talked about how they tried to get the ball in the post and it just collapsed on them. Did you feel additional pressure defensively from Moorhead today? Did you feel like, golly, it's just all over me?
Yes, I did. And when I did feel it, like I got it out when I could.
Any other questions?
If you guys don't mind, let just Perry briefly talk about her her experience, her 2 years, because she was with us for 2 years. Want to say something about your experience?
Sure. It's been a roller coaster. I've been on every side of this team. I've been a starter. I've been on the bench. I haven't touched the floor. I've been in a position where I was a role player. I've come off the bench. So I've been everywhere on this team, and I kind of know what it's like to be a different piece of the team from every side. So I feel like I can see what's going on from every aspect. But despite that, I just genuinely wanted to win. So, like, whatever I could do to win is what I did, even if that meant, rooting for somebody else in my position. I genuinely wanted my teammates to do well. So it is what it is. When you want to win, you do whatever it takes. So